Landing pages for your e-commerce brand do not need to be complicated, right? Especially if you sell a product where you don't need to do a ton of explanation. You just need to show the product, you need to show the features and benefits. Then I'm going to share a couple of landing pages today and show you the conversion rate optimization principles that you should be leveraging on your website to increase your conversion rate, lower your customer acquisition costs. I'm going to be sharing examples from a 9-figure brand that's doing over $100 million every single year in revenue. And just to show you guys some proof of concepts before we dive into this video, just the types and the caliber of brands that we're used to working with at my agency, Hayes. We work with a handful of e-commerce brands. Refresh the Shopify dashboard to show you guys last 90 days, a brand that we work with just under $2.5 million in revenue, to show, yes, that I'm qualified to speak on the topic of e-commerce growth. And if you are looking for a partner to help you scale your e-commerce brand to these levels and more, right? We help brands go to that 8-figure stage. Then there'll be a link below this video. You can check out my website, and if you're interested, you can book a call and we can have a chat. But let's dive into the video, okay? So the first thing that I wanted to mention is, when it comes to products such as apparel, things like accessories, jewelry, like you don't always need to complicate the landing page side of things, right? Because these are products that people already know of. They know what they are just by looking at them. Now, what you do need to do is you need to obviously sell. You need to create a unique mechanism, right? The USPs around the product. But we don't need to be doing like crazy advertorials and stuff with these kinds of products, right? So this brand, Brunt Workwear, is a 9-figure brand, and I'm going to take you through some examples of landing pages today, and we're going to go through why they work and how you can apply those to your own website as well. But of course, the CRO side, right? So product page structures, like what's working for them on their product pages, collections page structures, like all that stuff, okay? So the first thing I wanted to go through was the landing pages, right? So this brand, they sell boots, right? Workwear boots, and when they're introducing a new product, for their apparel, this is the kind of landing page that they're using, right? It's very, very short, and it basically has, focus on the product. It says this is the all-new Kasparian, and then the short explanation on what the product is and a shop now. Then they have some features and benefits, right? Lightweight design and the description, better comfort, durability and performance, superior waterproofing, and then shop now, right? And they even have like a little shop section here, and I'd recommend you actually have this. And these are like, you could think of them as like, a collections showcase landing page is what I would, name this if I had to. And then this is like another example, right? Different style of boot, but the exact same landing page structure. We have this, initial image and hero section, but then we have 3 different highlights: better traction, serious comfort, and waterproof build, right? These are obviously the things that they know that their customers value the most in their products, right? And then, we click shop now, and it's going to take us to the website, to actually buy and shop. So just one last example for a different product, right? To show you guys like what they're doing for that slightly different product. They're selling these pants, these workwear pants, and it's a very, very similar structure than we just saw, but there's a slight difference, right? So the hero says 3 styles, 1 mission to get the job done. Brunt work pants are built tough to take whatever the job throws at you. And then you can shop work pants. Your go-to brand for work pants, again, like 4 like feature highlights in a slightly different format than what we just saw, and then need help choosing. So they're kind of just like comparing against their, their own products, right? And you can compare more features. This landing page is called Find Your Pants, right? They're basically allowing customers to find which style, which pant is going to work best for them. And then, they have the shoppable section, and then, some social proof. So the reason why you want to do like landing pages like this and who it's for, right? As I mentioned, products that don't need a lot of explanation, that are very easy to understand, that you just need to, highlight some features and benefits. And the majority of cases, this is within the apparel, it's within furniture, it's within accessories. It's not like if you're selling a supplement, then you're probably going to want to refer to other videos on my website where we talk more about listicles, quizzes, advertorials, inverted PDPs. I'll link those videos like in the top corner. But for apparel, for furniture, like those examples that I mentioned, these landing pages are going to be much, much easier for you to roll out and test, but they're also going to be likely more effective than if you tried something super complex, because we just want to get customers to purchase, right? We want to convince them and purchase. And then obviously you want to still run landing pages because you can create an environment that is focused and you're speaking to your demographic, but you're also like, there's no distractions here. We're not like shopping for boots and other accessories. Like, we're focusing on pants, and we're taking customers through a journey, and we're funneling them to the stage of like actually purchasing. So that is this landing page. I do want to talk about the CRO, because I think, if you have a brand, especially like when we talk about average order value, right? And we talk about offer structures. Now, a lot of times offer structures are great to increase your average order value, right? Bundles, quantity break offers, all those kind of things. And while I do cover those videos on my YouTube channel as well, I do want to go over the point where if your AOV, if your product price point is already like $100 plus, then you can still run those offer tests for sure, like if they fit the type of product you're selling. However, if for example you're selling something like boots where it doesn't really make sense to maybe sell like $145 pair of boots and try to get someone to buy 2 or 3, like if we get someone to buy 1 and we get a pretty decent conversion rate, like even like a 2% conversion rate, like we're very good, right? We're in a really good spot for scaling. So what I wanted to show you here was what happens when that is the case, right? You might be running a brand where this is your case. So what we do when we work with brands in this case is we focus more on the conversion optimization, right? Because the AOV is like the product price point is already good enough, which means if someone just purchases 1, we're already like at a good starting point for AOV, right? We can add upsells throughout the process, the checkout process for sure. But what I wanted to show you is a few things here, right? So especially when you're selling apparel, like you want to make it easy for customers to navigate between different boot heights, sizes, waterproof, like different features, right, that they can add. And then of course colors as well, right? So you want to have like swatches on the PDP, right? That's important, just to make, you don't want customers to have to go back to the collections page to then like find a different color, find a different soft toe, brunt toe, like have everything as much as possible in one place. You want to make it easy for the customer. Like part of conversion optimization is not just about like the little things you do, like increasing trust, social proof, all these things. It's about making it easy for the customer to purchase, right? So that is a huge thing. So all of our customer experience here, and then of course they have sizing. You want to make sure you have size charts. You know, if you're selling products that require sizing, usually if you're selling apparel or accessories, that is the case. And then that's really it. That's when it comes to like the funnel of making it easy for the customers to choose the products that they want, right, and navigate through them. So other things you could do, of course, is adding infographics to the product image carousel, right? I think this is like prime real estate, and you definitely want to be adding some more information here, like highlighting different features and benefits of the boots. You might want to highlight customer testimonial. You might want to show the boots on the workplace, right? Because this brand is really sent to people who are on the job, in the workplace. So additional things here. This review under the add to cart button. Around the add to cart button is like a prime place for us to add some trust, like add some more certainty so they can hit that button. So what we can do is we can add like a testimonial like this, and then of course like some promises like free shipping and returns, 30-day risk-free trial. Now when we add the product to cart, as you can see here that they have upsells throughout the checkout process, which as I mentioned is something you're going to want to do because you're not really focusing on like developing an offer structure where you're getting people to buy multiple of the same thing. However, there is an opportunity for us to get people to buy a hat, some glasses, like an accessory, right? Something that is less cost than the main thing, because we're price anchoring. Price anchor is like, I'm going to spend $170 anyway. Should I just get these glasses? $84 is actually a little bit higher, but maybe like a hat for 25 bucks. It's kind of it's a much easier decision. Some urgency here. 200 plus others have the design on their cart, and then they actually have the checkout button at the top, which is interesting, and at the bottom. But most carts that I see, they only have the checkout at the bottom. But this brand has it at the top. Okay, so interesting thing there. The next thing I want to show you is the collections page, right? This brand does it really, really well at their collections pages. And again, the importance of the collections page is you want to make it easy for the customers to find the products that they want to find, right? That they're trying to search for, and easy for them to browse through, right? Because when you're selling apparel, furniture, like you likely have a lot of SKUs, and you want to make it easy for the customers to browse. So the first thing you want to do is you want to have a indicator of where the customer is, right? We're specifically talking about collections pages here. You want the customers to know where they are, right? So they're on work boots, okay? A little explanation of like what their work boots are, why they should stay here, some features. Obviously they have a button to compare the boots, not necessary. The things that are necessary are filters, right? You want to make sure your filters are concise. You don't want a ton of filters, but you want enough where customers can really drill down. So usually color, usually size, usually like specific features of the boots, right? Or features of the product. So for these guys, it's toe type, it's boot height, additional features are here, closure type. They have a good amount, I'd say this is like a good number of filters, right? I think anything more than this starts to become a little bit overwhelming. You want to have a sort by as well, like featured, popular, newest. You could also have like populars, best sellers, price low to high, price high to low. And then within these cards themselves, there's a few different elements that are standing out here, right? The first one is that the product shots are all in the same lighting or from the same angle with the shadows. Creates a lot of consistency, and it allows me to easily compare the products against each other. If they were all different, it becomes like the cognitive load is too much, okay? So you want to create as much of a seamless visual across the products as much as possible. Then what we want to do is we want to have the reviews, we want to have the product title and the price, and then just a little bit extra of what the product is, right? A little bit extra information. Now you can go a step further here and you can add to cart buttons on each of these cards. I've seen a lot of brands do that. We've done that for our clients as well. But those are really the main things. And what you can do in your collections page is you can take up one of the cards instead of a product. You might have like what this brand is doing here where it says compare boots. They're pushing that a lot. And it just means that they know that if the customers go to the boot comparison, it's going to create a better experience because they're going to find the boots that they want to wear and that they want to buy much faster. So that's why they're pushing this. But you could also use this to highlight a limited edition, highlight a specific sale. Doesn't always have to be a call to action. You could, reinforce some additional benefits. Anything, you can get creative with that. So this is it for their collections page. The navigation as well is actually very, very good. It's very, very good to model from. So on mobile, you can see they have navigation at the top in the format of like Instagram highlights, right? Where you can select these. But when we open their hamburger menu, this is almost a perfect hamburger menu layout because at the search they have, you can shop all, you can shop by specific collection. If you open these, you drill down even further. So I'd really recommend, coming to this website and modeling from this website. As I said, they're doing 9 figures a year, 100 million plus. So it is working really well for them. So last thing I want to show you guys is just when it comes to thinking about testing, conversion rate optimization, testing for landing pages, I want to show you the process that we use internally, which has been very, very helpful. So when it comes to CRO, which means you're A/B testing on the website, let's just say you wanted to roll out like a collections page test, right? You want to do a theme versus theme test, collections page test, or maybe you want to do a product page test where you're adding in these additional features and different things that the customer can shop by to make the customer experience and shopping experience much more seamless. So the first thing you want to do is research and data analysis. And this is really where we are looking at heat maps, looking at session recordings. We're using Microsoft Clarity to uncover these data and research. Now, we can also use customer reviews, we can also use surveys, we can also use what people are talking about on Reddit, right? We combine all of this data. From there, we form a hypothesis. The hypothesis is really, here's what we're going to test, this is why, this is what we think will happen, and this is like the expected outcome. This is really the hypothesis, and you need that as a starting point. From there, we design a wireframe. This is a mock-up of how the actual website is going to look, or the specific section on the website is going to look once we set it live, but it's within Figma, so it's a testing environment. Then with a developer, we implement that in a draft theme in Shopify, not in a live environment, in a draft theme, just so we don't affect anything on the live site. Then we do QA, right? Just make sure that quality checks, everything is good. We test it with a software like IntelliGems, and then from there, once we have enough data, we analyze the data, and then we iterate, right? So either we iterate on the test and we do like further iterations based on the same thing, based on the similar hypothesis, or we go back to the research and data analysis phase and we start a test over, from the beginning. Now, the landing page process is actually very, very similar. The only difference is that after the research and data analysis, we are identifying the stage of market awareness. So I've covered this a few times in my videos, but stage of market awareness is really it's an age-old principle in marketing and advertising. But basically what it means is that in any given market, there are people who are more aware of your product and the solution, and people who are less aware of that, okay? There's also people who are aware that they have a problem, people who are unaware that they don't have a problem, right? People who are aware of a solution, and et cetera, right? So really, if we look at this visual, this really paints a picture of the stages of market awareness. So we have most aware here on the right-hand side. Now, obviously, this is a smaller audience because the people who are going to be most aware about your product is a smaller audience compared to those that are not. So this is a small audience. It's also easier to sell to because they are already somewhat convinced and you just need to push them over the edge just a little bit. Then we have people who are product aware, right? And as we get further and further away, what happens is the audience sizes get bigger, but they also become harder to sell to, right? Because they are less convinced, and we need to work on convincing them and selling them on why they should purchase a product. They're solution aware, problem aware, and unaware, okay? So there's other videos on my channel that go deeper into this, and I'd highly recommend checking those out if you want to go deeper into the stage of market awareness and understand why they really matter when it comes to landing pages. But we identify the stage of market awareness that we want to target. We decide on the landing page structure, and the landing page structure you decide on is going to be dependent on the stage of market awareness. And then we write the copy, we build the page, QA, test, analyze, iterate, or back to the drawing board. So this is really the process of testing. And this is helpful for us to stay on track and keep a scientific process to testing, because this ultimately is a science, right? As much as is an art as well. But you need to have a process in place, basically what I'm saying. So that is it for this video. Hopefully this was helpful because, as I said, a lot of times brands want to overcomplicate landing pages. They see landing pages as this kind of promised land of, endless conversions and 5, 6, 7% conversion rates. Well, yes, for some brands. For some brands, doing like crazy advertorials and all these kind of landing pages, like it doesn't always make sense, right? You can test them for sure and they can work. But sometimes it is much simpler to go and build a landing page that just shows the product, showcases the product, features and benefits, and you focus on your conversion rate optimization on the website itself once people get to the product page. Especially if your AOV, your product price point, is already allowing for an AOV, the starting point is putting you in a really good spot to begin with. All right, so that's all for this video. Hopefully this was helpful, and I will see you in the next one.